Hello, J Prime here, and welcome back to Prime Motivation. So, the year now is 2019, but it won't be that for much longer, at least from where I'm at. It's already 2020 in some other parts of the world, and by the time most people see this, it'll probably already be 2020. But while we're headed towards that, which I'm very excited about, I wanted to kind of talk about 2019 and my takeaways from that. Now, for that, I do need to back it up a second and talk about 2018. So 2018 was quite a year. It was a year where like I accomplished a lot, um, but I also was so obsessed with what I wanted to do for the future that it was hard to live in the present, live in the here and now. And at the same time, some stuff had happened and made me realize that the past impacts us in more ways than we think. And there were some lessons that I had learned before that I had to relearn. And so 2018 was an interesting year, but I walked away with something that I really wanted at the end of the year. And so it's easy to forget about a lot of the painful moments, but I came out on top despite all of that, right? So I came out triumphantly having gained something that I wanted. 2019, very different in some ways, very much the same in some others. So that year, I started off, and like I said, I got something that I wanted, and it things did not go as smoothly as I had planned. I almost immediately dealt with conflict at the beginning of the year that I was not prepared to deal with. But I had, like I said, something that I really wanted, and so I fought for that. And I'm like, well, I want to continue to fight for that. And so with that though, a lot had happened, and I eventually lost that thing. Um, and that was painful. It was very, very painful. And the interesting part though is that I still came out on top. Like, I had lost something, but I still was able to be triumphant. And so 2019 to me though was not just a year that was tough because it was inherently tough. Don't get me wrong, it was very tough. But what really stuck with me was that like it was the second tough year in a row. I just had like different endings, so to speak. Well, I had the same ending, but like with different twists. So I had a tough year where I ended up gaining something. I had a tough year where I ended up losing something, and in both those cases, I felt like I was ultimately better at the end of the year than when I started. And I feel like there's something to be said about that. And so my big takeaways from 2019 was like one, having better self control because I'm usually in control, but there are some moments where like I get annoyed, I get frustrated, just like someone else, or anyone else for that matter, and knowing that I should be more careful with that. I feel like that's key. But at the same time, yes, accepting responsibility for your actions is key. Knowing what you could do in any given situation or in general is key. But you don't have to let other people off the hook for that. Every struggle that I had was in some way related to me in this last year, but there was also a lot of other people involved in that. And so my thing is like to not also harp on that too, because you want to be able to accept responsibility on your end, but you also want to acknowledge that yes, there are a lot of other people that are involved, and it's not totally on you. So you want to more like accept the right amount of blame, and that's something that I've had to learn as well as like just like work life balance and where I'm at with things. I had to learn more about me in this last year, and that's been interesting. And I think like so it was tough, and a lot of people were aware that it was tough, and a lot of people were asking me how I was able to stay positive, and I would joke but not joke. I was like positive because I needed to be, but I think it's more complicated than that. So I feel like for me, like my positivity, part of that is nature. It's just in me. Another part of that is nurture. I was like, raised to be that way, so my nature wasn't forced, and I feel like that's lucky. And now the next part is necessity. I feel like sometimes you need to be positive. It beats the alternative. But the last part is important. It's choice. I've never been one to like discount my agency in things, but I've taken it to another level this year. Like And that's been key to me. And knowing that I can play off the timeline, so to speak, I can know what works about me in a way to get me through. Because one of the things that have gotten me through this year is knowing that yes, I have had tough things happen to me in the past. I've had rough years, but I've gotten through them, and I've always found a way to win. I've always found a way to learn, and that has gotten me through some things, as well as like the support of friends and family. And throughout this time, one of the cool parts that some of my friends have mentioned to me, and like I'm really glad about, is that through my tough time, I was still able to help people, and I was still able to help them efficiently. And so one of the biggest takeaways this year is that I'm able to help people, and I'm able to help them efficiently, and I don't have to kill myself to do it. And that's a lesson that I'm going to have to make sure it sticks. And I know it's going to be a struggle for me personally to do that. And I tend to be like a workaholic, and that's impacted my life in numerous ways. Because for me, work isn't just work. So, I chose a field, in this case, like math, a field that's very important to me, because I want to enjoy what I want to do out there because we spend so much time at work. But in addition to that, which has its problems. Like I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm very passionate about the mission that I'm on, and that level of passion can be both a gift and a curse. More of a gift than a curse, but like there are problems with that. And in addition to that, work wasn't just about that to me either, right? Like if I was dealing with something that was difficult in my life, and I could not think of a solution, I would want to do something productive, and usually that would be in the form of work. And then there's that whole survival aspect. You got to be out there, you got to be hungry, you got to support yourself. So I'm thinking, that there's a way to handle everything that I want to handle in a way where it doesn't, um, consume me. And one of the other big things is kind of tying back to like just where some of that struggle was coming from this year. It's okay to like want something. It's okay to fight for it, but there is a certain point where it's okay to walk away too. And I feel like there was a point where I knew that I should have, and I didn't because I really wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I dealt with the consequences from that. But the good news is, like, I had some rather unpleasant business earlier this year, and I like took the high road, which was very much not easy. But I do think it was worth it because I got to stand tall at the end of the day. And now I'm at a point in my life where, hey, I'm trying to figure out the work life balance a bit. I'm trying to work on myself a bit. And I'm pretty excited about 2020. I'm taking a different approach because for the last like 5 years or so, right, my thing has been like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this year. I'm going to beat this year. The year is not going to know what is going to happen to it, right? Like it's been a very violent approach to how I'm going to take on the year. So this time I'm going to do something different. I'm going to work with 2020 rather than fight it. I'm going to get to know it. It's going to get to know me. We're going to do beautiful, amazing things, and that's how it's going to be. And so I feel like this year has been oddly liberating. It is probably the toughest year that I've ever had. Like, ew, yeah, I'd say that's pretty clear. But it has made me better for all of the struggle that I have endured, for all of the loss that I have experienced. I've gained things that I didn't think that I would. I learned things about myself that I don't think I knew. And there's something to be said about that. So even in the year that I have categorized as like the worst year of my life, I still am a better man for it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. There's always a way to win. So yeah, I think those are like my big takeaways from 2019, and I look forward to seeing what 2020 brings. And one of my big things while I am looking for that, and why I'm like here now, is that like for me doing this and doing some of the other stuff I do out there is great. It's good to have creative outlets. It's good to do some of the stuff that you want to do and to make time for that. And so here I am, and I hope to see you all more in the future. Welcome to 2020 if you're reading this past the time that I posted. Prime out.